everybody, welcome to the show. Double salute for you. My name is Chris. This is the weekly spin around. How's that? Oh. All right, I'm just ending that music, and let's take a look at who's in the show today. We've got Big Gay Dave. We've got Andrew Jefferson. We've got MF telling me funky correctamundo. Double salute, you got it. We've got A-Man and Keith and T-Rex. And in my magic mirror, I also see Michael and Ryan. Anyway, lovely to see all of you today. Whoops, I just dropped some of my new pens. Excuse me, I bought some new brush pens. That's the same music Abroad in Japan uses. Abroad in Japan uses it. I know H3 uses it. It's in Epidemic Sound, if you're curious. So I currently am using that for this channel. I love that song. It's by somebody named Maddie McGuire, for what it's worth. But yeah. Oh, hi. You caught me enjoying the weekly spin rack. I hope everybody enjoys it. It's going to be a good one. Hey, how's it going, little sister? Always lovely to have you here. This doesn't look like New York. No, I'm back from New York, but I brought something with me, a cold. Yeah, I've been pretty sick the last few days, unfortunately. Hello, Daniel. Always lovely to have you here. J Muse, thank you for the compliment. Yes, there's a new Comic Tropes episode up. Took me a little longer because of me being sick, but it's on Gene Colan. How is New York? I will talk about that. The old convention cold. Yeah, con crud. Scotland, lovely. Thank you for joining me. And just to be clear, like Larry says, no COVID though. No. It is definitely not COVID. It is just a regular old cold. Randy, awesome to have you here. Congrats on your Kickstarter being successfully funded yesterday. Happy for you, buddy. Joe, lovely to have you here. Thank you, Zoe. I hope I feel better soon too. So let me pause on the comments to just tell you, relay what happened. I went to New York, went to the Comic-Con, visited friends, went to Central Park Zoo for a nice long walk, did all sorts of great things, had some great food, did a lot of really nice stuff, and felt good. Came back from the convention, and first thing Chrissy and I did when we got home, we took COVID tests, at-home tests, negative, went to work the next day, started to not feel so great. Next day I had off, which was a Thursday, took another COVID test, and again, negative. We're good to go. Awesome. So that's good. But I started feeling pretty bad on Thursday all the way up through today. Don't be surprised if I cough a bunch during this. I've got like a consistent cough, some congestion, but I'm taking stuff like the occasional Sudafed and Tylenol and stuff like that. It's helping. But so yeah, I brought home a cold. But in some ways, what I'm impressed by is, okay, the cold gets through. There's nothing you can block from like a regular cold, really. But I didn't get the big thing, and I guess that sort of shows us that the vaccine and the boosters kind of work, right? I don't know. Yeah, I got a new logo for a couple things. For Comic Tropes, I've sort of wanted a better logo for my main show for a while. The original was like, it was fine, but it wasn't quite. I didn't feel like it was clean enough and professional enough. It was okay. Randy speaks to everybody here. For those of you that I owe a Bullet PDF, please get in touch. Yeah, Randy said that he'd give a PDF of Bullet when he was on the when he was a guest on this show a couple weeks ago, and so reach out to him. Altruist Comics on Twitter is probably the best way to reach him. Where was I? Great. I've already lost my train of thought. I'm going to review real quickly some of the comics that I read this week. Give you like my recommendations essentially. And then we do have a lot of cool news. I wouldn't say too much of it is very gossipy, but there's definitely some cool stuff in the works. And so that'll be great. Yeah, look at people are excited there for your comic, Randy. What if Superman was lazy and watches Netflix and eats bonbons all day? What if? Maybe that's me. Maybe I am Superman then. Let's see. Sorry you're sick. Another comic YouTuber, Omar, got sick also. Okay. Yeah. So many people. I don't know that I got it necessarily at the convention, to be honest. I think I was pretty careful at the convention. And I spent the whole day with my friend Mark, and Mark did not get sick. There's just as good a chance that I got sick on like the plane ride home or something like that. So if my voice sounds nasally today, sorry. It's taken all my energy just to do this show. So love having everybody here. Hello. Oh, look. Okay. EJ was also at the convention, and I got EJ. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time. I know you're at the convention. You've got a booth. You're there to sell comics. But it was lovely to meet you in person after all this time. And thank you. It was wonderful meeting you. EJ says, I didn't bring home a cold from New York, but I came home to a whole house of kids who have colds. Okay. I don't know which is better. Let's see. I missed the last couple of weeks, but my condolences on your cat. And I mean that. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. It's been tough. You know, when Chrissy, my wife, and I met, she had just adopted 2 cats, and I had 2 cats for not that long. So we had 4 cats when we got together, and eventually moved in together. And 4 is a lot, but I loved all of them. I can honestly say that. And we were down, just due to old age, down to our last one. And yeah, just basically right before we left for New York, unfortunately, we lost our last one, and the house definitely feels a little quieter, a little emptier without our little guy. It's definitely tough. So we've been looking at pictures of kittens and puppies for adoption or fostering, and you know, we're trying not to rush into it, but I think we both really want a pet. So yeah. Oh, that's nice of you, Magpie. Yeah, it could be Ebola. Yeah. It could even be a Comic-Con exclusive air transmissible STD. Well, would that really be an STD if it was air transmissible? I don't know. But, you know, Beanington Sproutsworth. Yeah, his name was Little Bean, but we gave him all sorts of nicknames. Love your streams, Chris. I work at a comic book store, and this helps me have stuff to talk about with my customers. That's really interesting to hear, Zach. Yeah, so let's get into something positive. I will get into talking a little bit more about the show and stuff. Let's see. I feel like there's a way to make this smaller, or this other window bigger. No? Huh. Boy, I really thought that I was able to do that, but I guess not. Oh well. Wow. That's interesting. My local comic book store plays your videos. Folks, you know what? I feel, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this so that it doesn't sound like a humble brag, but I'll just come out and say, I didn't expect to be recognized at the convention by as many people as I was. And obviously this show's reach has grown. You know, I'm not like one of these 2 million subscriber channels like Comic Storian or something, but boy, like the entire time, not just at the convention, but just in New York that weekend, you know, like at restaurants and stuff like that, people would come up and say hello. It was a good feeling, to be honest. It was really nice. That's really cool. It was cool. By the way, I was talking to my sister today. I said, why don't you come on sometime as a guest? You've all seen her here in the chat room. I think that, like, my sister and I have a good rapport. She doesn't necessarily know everything about comics that I know, but she knows some stuff, and I think that we could have a fun episode having her on as a guest. I think that would be fun. Anyway, I stopped by my P.O. box today, and there were some big packages in there, so I will be doing another unboxing soon. If you want to send anything to me, I can always do an unboxing and help like sort of boost your signal that way. So anyway, looking forward to doing that. How many oh highs did you get? A few, but not every single person. A few. Your sister being on the show would be great. A face to the comments. Yeah. Chris, you're basically a rock star now. No, I'm not. You should start doing panels at cons and maybe even if an official cult. Jim. I hope the New York Comic Con was good to you, Jim. It seemed like you had a great booth, and I came by a couple times, but like there were actual customers there, and you're there to make money, so I didn't want to like, use up too much of your time. But now that I've learned that you're not too far away, as soon as I'm feeling a little better, yeah, let's do lunch or something. We should hang out, and that would be awesome. Also, I saw, on your Instagram feed and stuff that you were hanging out with, talk about a rock star, Peach Momoko. I mean, we all knew that she was popular, but this New York Comic Con like really shows us just like she is at just such a high superstar status these days. It's amazing. And I'm glad you got to hang out with her a few times. That's awesome. Let's see. Non-comic comment. Today I learned there's a type of armadillo called a culatopado. Facebook translated that as booty cat. Well, I like that. That's great. Diana, I sent you some art today because, I appreciate what you do on the G.I. Joe comics. So I sent you some fan art. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. I got to say that faster like a Twitch streamer. Yan Yan says, just wanted to point out that Dracula is the first Marvel title to get an anime full feature. Spoiler, it's pretty bad. Yes, and I was actually going to talk about that, so I'll talk about that right now. This was something like 1981. Toei Animation did adapt Tomb of Dracula into an anime, and you can find this for free on YouTube. Japan is usually really good at clamping down on copyright and stuff, so this kind of shows that nobody necessarily cares about the status of this very weird anime. I think it's officially known as Dracula. What is it? Oh God, it's got a weird name to it. Hold on, I was just looking at it today. Sovereign of the Damned. Dracula, Sovereign of the Damned. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that support so much. Yeah, it is legit a strange adaptation of Tomb of Dracula. Who would have guessed? Here's the plot. This will give you an idea of how weird it is. The plot is Dracula takes away Satan's girlfriend to keep the devil from having sex. That's Dracula's goal. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating or putting it in a weird way. It's so strange. So, and if you've ever seen a meme of a cartoon Dracula chowing down on a cheeseburger, it comes from Dracula, Sovereign of the Damned, a Japanese anime. It's a very strange adaptation of Tomb of Dracula. And that was actually taken from a literal panel that Gene Colan drew. It's crazy. It's not a very literal adaptation, but they've got like Frank Drake, Rachel Van Helsing, and Quincy Harker in it. So yeah, it's strange. Dracula seduces Satan's girlfriend. Basically, Dracula is a prude. A little bit, actually, in this movie. Dracula's a tomb blocker. But does he have a giant robot? I don't think there's any giant robots in it. Let's talk briefly about some of the latest comics to come out. Tell you what, you know what? Let me switch this Whoa. Oh, geez. That's so funny. Like, at first, I was looking at the comic, but I wanted the comic to be back there. This is so weird when I switch it like this. And now when I switched it like that, all right, it feels like I'm back to back with this. Like, this is this, and I got my back to it. Nope, my back would be this way. And it feels like that you come together and opposites attract. I'm rapping with MC Scat Cat. What was that song? Paul Abdul. Opposites attract. I don't know why that struck me. Bad anime is such a rabbit hole. Yeah. You know, anime in general. I am old enough that I was discovering anime in well, actually, I saw it as early as the 70s. Some of it was on TV, dubbed. But I found it in video stores by like the late 80s. Now, there was no internet then. There was really no even magazines that were easy to get a hold of that would have reviews. So if you were interested in trying anime, like I was at the time, you basically had to just read the cover and fingers crossed that it was a good one, that it would have, good animation and a cohesive story. And it was a real crapshoot is all I can say, because I discovered some really cool things. I'm glad I discovered Akira. There was good animation and interesting stuff in like Robot Carnival back then. I want to say Plastic Little was one that had really good animation. And then there were some that are like really well known, but the animation left me cold and I wasn't too into it, like Appleseed or Bubblegum Crisis and stuff like that. It was just an interesting time to try to discover. Yeah. I remember having to go to Suncoast Video for anime. Exactly. It was like the only place you could really find it was at those stores. You found Speed Racer and Battle of the Planets. My first were like Guy King and Voltron. Some others that I don't really remember the name of now. Speaking of Japanese stuff, let me start off real quick with this. The latest volume of My Hero Academia, number 32, came out, and author and artist Kohei Horikoshi says that he is entering the final end game. He's like about to get into the final act of the story, and you can kind of tell as you read this. Fortunately, this does focus on Deku, the main character. He's sort of been sidelined for the last couple volumes as they built up some of the villains. But this focuses on him. He's kind of going down a dark path because he feels he has to be alone to not put people in danger. He's also mastering all of these new superpowers. But it's got some great fights. It really does. It's got some great stuff. This issue moved at a good pace. I personally loved it when he and his classmates were studying at school. Like, that was my favorite stuff. But now we're going up against, the big bad, and all I can say is it is good. Look at that. Like, that's what the hero looks like now, and he's just such an innocent kid, but that looks like something out of like The Crow. It's pretty badass. I like it. Oh yeah, Tower Records sold anime and still does, I guess, because there is still one Tower Records. It's in Tokyo, in Shibuya. So, I have to admit, like, when I go to Tokyo, I have to just like pop into Tower Records because it's like going back in time. You're like, wow, this still exists. It's cool. I mentioned this like a couple months ago on the show. This is a free comic you could get at Jack in the Box. Let's see. I should watch the anime at some point. Yeah, I have to admit, I read a lot of the manga and I don't watch a whole lot of the anime stuff, but I do want to if I had more time. This is interesting. Mikado says there's Tower Records in Osaka too. I haven't been to it, so oh, don't worry, folks. I see it. Blocked. All right, yeah, there was yeah, you've been to Tower Records in Shibuya. It's amazing. It is. It's a really fun store. The return of Mark Hamill. Did he go somewhere? Let me explain. Mark Hamill and Jack in the Box have teamed up to make a freebie promotional comic. It's cute. It's a very slight story. Some of it's based on real life. Mark Hamill's first job in the 70s, like 1970, was working at Jack in the Box. But he got fired pretty soon into it because he got put on the drive-through, and he decided to make a clown voice. He was like a teenager, and he thought it would be a good idea to talk in a clown voice because the mascot is a clown. The managers didn't like it, and they let him go. And this comic is just like Jack and Mark, each going on to bigger success, but missing each other. And in the modern day, he comes back to work at Jack in the Box for a day. It's just silly and slight. Anyway. Nihongo hanasemasu, Chris? Yeah. No, I don't speak Japanese. I know a few phrases. The origin of the Joker voice could be. Early Joker prototype. Yep, a lot of people thinking of that. Anyway, for free, it's fun. It's slight. There's not much to it. Just recently read this. Scott Snyder teaming up with Francesco Francavilla for Night of the Ghoul. There's a couple layers to this story. There's a guy looking for an old director who had made a horror movie that this guy is like, he was the director, but the movie was based on real life. Basically, it was a fictional movie based on something that really happened, and it presupposes that back in World War I, there was a monster called the Ghoul, and what it does is it infects people. And all the other monsters and lore that we've ever come up with in humanity have all basically come from ways that this ghoul has infected people. Like, it infects their blood. Well, that was the origin of vampires. It infects their brain. That's the origin of zombies. Werewolves, mummies, they all come from the ghoul. And it controls people, and it melts people, and it does horrible things. And all I can say is, this is a fast read. It's good. It's scary. I really liked it. I do recommend it. That sounds pretty cool. It is pretty cool. I picked this up. Good page count. It was. Can't really recommend this anymore. Amazing Spider-Man. Wanted to like it more because you guys know that I like John Romita Jr. It's a little hit and miss, though. There's stuff going on in this comic that I just I had no idea. I'm not up to date. Apparently, Ned Leeds is back to life because he had the goblin serum in his veins. He was originally revealed as the Hobgoblin, but then later it was said that he was really just brainwashed into being the Hobgoblin, and that this fashion designer mogul Roderick Kingsley was. Anyway, they've somehow brought the Hobgoblin back again. It certainly seems to be Ned. Okay, I had no idea that Ned Leeds came back to life. That just seems so massive to bring a character back that's been dead for 40 years. And what can I say? John Romita Jr. has forgotten how to draw Norman Osborn. I mentioned this before. Basically, here's the biggest thing. Spider-Man asks Black Cat out on a date. Which, cool. All right, that's some progression. That's something kind of new. He's single. He's being proactive. But then he's after he does it, he's like, I'm shaking. Whole body is jello. How is this so hard? I'd better walk home. You got to be kidding me. Peter Parker is a grown-ass man. He shouldn't be that nervous asking a girl out on a date, especially not a girl he knows is into him. It's a bit much. Oh, yeah, it is a shame. I've seen Zeb Wells write some great stuff. That plot about bringing Ned Leeds back makes me want to cancel every old superhero comic. It just gets to be too much. And you know what? If this was your first Spider-Man comic, it would sound interesting. You'd be like, oh, there's more lore going on than I understand, and it's new, so I get it. It's built for new readers. It might work for them. It ain't working for me. I wish it was, but it's not. Did he have an affair? No. But he was in a serious relationship with Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, like really shortly before the decision was made to have him get married to MJ. Because Stan Lee was going to do that in the daily comic strip that he wrote. He was going to have him marry MJ. So at the sort of last minute, Marvel editors were like, you know what, we should have the main title match. And so like he kind of got out of that relationship with Felicia and got back with MJ really fast. Anyway, got a super chat. I always want to acknowledge those. Let's see. There it is. Hobgoblin sure suffers from the Hawkman continuity syndrome. That was a good episode from you, though. Thank you. Yeah, I made an episode about Hobgoblin. It's crazy. It's crazy. You can have social anxiety, Andy, but while Peter Parker is a little shy, he's kind of gotten out of his shell since he got like a job and has been in several relationships and has become a superhero. Not to say he's the most outgoing person as Peter Parker, but he shouldn't collapse like a 13-year-old going like, oh my God, I asked out a girl. I don't feel that's in character. Maybe some people think differently, and that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I honestly would have expected more from Wells as an Emmy Award winner writer who's also married to an actress. Seems like a perfect fit for Spider-Man, but alas, he wrote a fantastic episode of She-Hulk this season. I thought She-Hulk had a great season. I checked out Spider-Man after Dan Slott's massive run. Overall, I liked it, but got burnt out on the repeat story beats. Yeah, well, that will happen with any superhero book, in my opinion. Venom was a little more interesting, I guess. Good artwork by Brian Hitch. No complaints there. Story by Ram V. And basically it involves Eddie Brock's son, Dylan, he's essentially catatonic, and he has to sort of free some, I think he has to free Venom's psyche or something from this construct. And to prove that he's worthy, he has to fight this like mental image of his father. I don't know. It's fine. It's whatever. Batman versus Robin was better though. And this is a solid team. Mark Waid writing, Mahmoud Asrar on art. Rock solid. It basically involves the villain is gathering all the various magic-powered heroes and villains under his will. So you've got lots of characters like Clarion the Boy Witch and Zatanna and Dr. Fate, Simon, what's his name? No, not Simon. Felix Faust. Anyway, Batman and Alfred are in this sort of like magical dreamscape, trying to figure out who the villain is. And the villain really is Ra's al Ghul's mother. So that was interesting. And it's a big issue. A lot changes. And there's some twists and turns to like who Batman can trust in this. I don't want to give too much away. It's fun, actually. That's all I can say. I would recommend it. Well, it's not got every character yet, so maybe. This is a fair criticism here. Venom is getting too meta for me. I could sort of see that. It is. It's a lot, but it's at least a little different. Mahmoud Asrar's artwork is always a treat for the eyes. Totally. DC has been getting some great talent in recent years. They have. They have. DC has beefed up its talent roster quite a bit. I agree with that. All right, here's a counterpoint. A roguish type says, I like Peter being nervous. He's trying to get back out there and feels rusty, anxious. It felt human to me, and that's what I love about Spidey, his vulnerability. I would agree with you to a degree. I think that the idea of him being rusty, of him being anxious, that totally works. But it's all in the execution. I felt like they went, or they being more like Zeb Wells, went over the top with how he reacted. I would have just had him like, breathing a sigh of relief and going like, oh my God, that went better than I hoped. Not just like dropping to his knees going like, oh my God, I asked out a girl. Mahmoud Asrar also did an illustration for the Wololina graphic novel that I wrote. Wow, you got him early, Daniel. Congratulations. That's a selling point. My trope is spoilers. I don't think I'm going too far, to be honest. Like, I think I've kept like the final few pages of everything I'm reviewing from you guys. I'm just giving you like broad strokes and telling you whether I recommend it or not. I would recommend Superman Son of Kal-El. It's about to like wrap up its run, but you know what's nice about this? His dad comes home, and it's about like a father-son relationship, and it's pretty sweet. It's I don't know. It felt real to me, and I guess that's something I like. So while nothing super exciting necessarily happens, I would say I give this a mediocre thumbs up. Here's one I loved. Dark Spaces Wildfire. And again, I won't spoil this because this is a show that goes I'm sorry, I'm blocking a bot. This is a mystery, so like I can't spoil too much, but essentially we've got 5 women who 4 of them are prisoners, one of them is a correctional officer, and they fight wildfires to serve their sentence. They have all agreed to a heist. They're breaking into a house that's in the middle of the wildfire to steal some crypto, and once they get there, there are some well-armed criminals ready to take them hostage. So their heist plan goes awry. But you really get to know the characters well in this. One of them gets kidnapped. The others team up to solve things. It gets messy. But it's so exciting because, of course, you've also still got the wildfire burning while they're trying to get in and out. Is AI dating like getting with a computer? Oh, because that was based on the bot that I had in there. Yes, I guess so. Nonsense. You can't know better than the AI. Oh, great bots. How many moles of calcium are in 8 grams of calcium? Moles? I don't know that unit of measurement. Sorry. Andy, lovely to have you here. This book sounds interesting. I'll be checking it out. It's good. It's so good. I'm so glad I picked this up because I did pick it up on a whim. I was like, female firefighters, I don't know. Like, that's not an easy sell. And at the last minute, I was like, well, Scott Snyder has written some stuff I've liked lately. So I gave it a shot, and I really like this one. I really do. Yeah. Has a heist plan ever not gone awry? Absolutely. Oh, people are explaining this. Mole is a scientific term for number of atoms. Oh, good Lord. I wouldn't know about that. Sorry, my nose is kind of running and I'm getting dry in the throat, so I'm going to have to drink some more water. Definitely picking up the trade. Totally recommend it. Here's another one I love, and this also gets my strongest recommendation. Do a Powerbomb. And at first you're like, okay, a wrestling comic. Or it's a wrestling comic that has people from Alien Worlds wrestling. Maybe that's fun, but that's not going to be deep, is it? Well, yeah, actually, it kind of is. There is a real heart at the center of this. The art is incredible. Like, look at the impact displayed there with like a big boot to the face. Is it a little over the top? Maybe, but you kind of need to sell the impact, to use a wrestling term. This is, anyway, the good guys in this decide to have a no disqualification match, hardcore rules. It is just a brutal drag out fight. And I'm going to stop before I get too far, because guess what? There's another twist. There have been like 2 twists already. The end of issue 2 made me literally gasp when I saw the final page. The end of issue 4, or like almost the end, like the sort of third act, made me like reconceptualize what was going on. And issue 5 again ends with something I never would have predicted. So Daniel Warren Johnson is telling a story that keeps zagging when I think it's going to zig. I love it. I love it. Yeah, look at this. Love the twist at the end. There's still 2 more issues, I believe, of this. I just had, I don't know. It's so cool. It's so cool. Over the Top is underrated. I hope you're not talking about that movie, because that movie is not so good. What's this? The first pages made a lot more sense if I didn't think about them until the end. Yeah. Daniel Warren Johnson is a beast, always pushing the boundaries and making killer work. I think he's one of the more exciting creators out there today, and it's not just his artwork. Like, this guy could be just drawing, the Hulk or something like that, like a big title, and probably making lots of good money. But he's got ideas. He's also writing some really cool stuff that I just don't see coming. I think Extremity is amazing. It is. And what a clever title, too, after you start reading it. There, Comic Corral also love. Oh, Comic Core, excuse me. Likes it. Good. K-Bar. I'm glad to hear that I'm not alone. If you haven't read it, you're going like, Chris, you seem to be getting very excited for like a book about pro wrestling. Let me be clear. If you like pro wrestling, yeah, you're going to get an extra kick out of this. You don't have to know anything about pro wrestling or be into it to still enjoy where this story goes. There's real stakes here. There's real people. It's just really, really good. Daniel Warren Johnson makes comics fun. I give anything to see the Power Rangers series we talked about with him on the show. Oh, okay. You had him on your show. Okay. Marvelous. Is that you? I met you at New York Comic Con, right? I think I met you. Peter, right? I'm just guessing, but I think I met you. Thank you, Thomas. I hope I feel better too. Here's one I find interesting, and I like some of it, and I don't like other parts of it. This is called Alliance's Orphans, and it's one of the last things Stan Lee created, actually. He created this idea of there's a lot of world building in this. It involves lots of different alien races and how they like interact with humanity. There's some real big ideas in this, and I like the big ideas. The prologue to this is illustrated by Bill Sienkiewicz, and I'm a mark for Bill Sienkiewicz. I really don't think that he's ever made something that I dislike. So you've got some really interesting stuff in here for like the first like bunch of pages. And it's a lot to take in. There's a lot of world building going on. And then the main part starts, and I don't know what to say. Like, this artist is named Simon Kudransky. And I wouldn't say that anything is outright bad, but as the book goes on, it gets very simple, like the artwork, There's not always much in the way of backgrounds. A lot of this is left to the colorist. There's a lot of empty space, I feel, to his compositions. So in some ways, that helps the book read faster. But in other ways, I was just like, it was hard to understand what was going on sometimes in fights. So I didn't love that. And the writing by Luke Lieberman and Ryan Silbert, again, it builds some interesting sci-fi mythology. But the characters don't all get fleshed out too well. And there's some real metaphysical stuff as far as like what they're trying to do to save the universe. You know, it's all like, I can channel this energy, but I have to concentrate. You need more than channeling the energy. You need the antimatter from this guy. He got antimatter in him once. And you're like, what? It's a lot. It's a lot. I didn't hate it. I don't want to make it sound like that because I didn't. I feel like it could have used another pass by an editor. And I don't think that this is the perfect artist for the job. Like these are very open pages. You know, I didn't have trouble reading it, but it's just so basic for like a hardcover book with like, if you've got Stan Lee and Bill Sienkiewicz in this book, I feel like the rest of it needs to get up to a higher level. Excited for Spawn Batman? Absolutely. Absolutely. That could be fun. The artist did Spawn for a bit. Yes. Out of all the artists I've seen in my life, he's certainly one of them. I think that's about what I'd say too. But I'm interested somehow to know a little bit more. So I actually might talk to some of the guys that made this book. Last book, I give this a strong recommendation. Nobody that's followed me for any amount of time is going to be surprised by that because I love the team of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. These guys work together so well. I think they're going to go down in the Hall of Fame, you know, whatever comic book Hall of Fame is, like one of the best teams to ever work. Yeah, I don't know. Like, and so this is a crime book in their Reckless series. It's the full story. Follow Me Down. Ethan Reckless goes up against, oh boy, how would I describe them? A family that's like a biker gang that like has done some awful stuff to one particular lady. She's gone missing and Ethan has to track her down, and he sort of breaks a little bit of a code by falling for her. And then there's a huge time jump from like the late 80s into like, you know, the 2000s. That was interesting. But I don't want to talk about it too much because these guys have such a history. You probably know whether you like them or not. All I can say is you can read any of these Reckless books and they're self-contained stories. So it's not like you have to like read issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You literally could read any of these in any order and you will get the same experience. This could be the first one you read, and I promise you'll get the same experience as if you read the first one. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. The story goes in such twists and turns. The artwork, it's just such a noir look. And you know what? Let me give credit to the colorist too, Jacob Phillips, because like, you know, when somebody lights up a cigarette on the porch at night, there's just enough color, you know, highlighting him to sort of bring him out of the shadows. Just enough. Oh, it's brilliant. Strong recommend. So the books I give my strongest recommend to this week would be these three. Follow Me Down, Do a Powerbomb number 5, and Dark Spaces Wildfire number 4. Those are the 3 books out of everything that I just went over that I give the strongest recommendations to. Them are good. They are something special, in my opinion. There's something special. You know, there's a lot of comics that I like, but I feel like I'm never disappointed by something that they put out ever since Sleeper, which was actually quite a long time ago now that I think of it. Like, was that like 20 years ago or something? I swear it's got to be close to that. Brubaker does some gritty crime stories. He really does. And they don't feel repetitive like I've gone through them before. Mysteries are hard to write. Best current writing Best current team working right now, straight up. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Did you read An Accidental Death by Brubaker and Shanaway? Yes. It's also fantastic. It really is. Yeah, Pulp. Totally agree, J Muse. Pulp was something cool. Get the same team vibe from them as Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb. Yeah, those guys were a team. And, you know, just to be clear, like, who else was good teams? Stan Lee and Jack Kirby on Fantastic Four. That was a great team. That was a great team. There's a lot of people that have made, like, you know, Giffen DeMatteis and Kevin Maguire on Justice League International was a really good team. There's a lot of great teams out there. Jamilin Parks, a couple of recent pickups I recommend are Briar and Night of the Ghoul. And I Night of the Ghoul I do give a recommendation to. My first and only Brubaker Phillips is the Fade Out. Oh yeah, the Fade Out's really interesting. Yep. Oh yeah. Marv Wolfman and George Perez, definitely a great team. Definitely a great team. Totally agree with you there. Oh, Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon. Yep, those guys always put together. They brought out the best in each other in a lot of ways. Yeah. The Simonsons, sure. Yeah. X Factor by Wheezy and Walt is fantastic. Lee and Ditko created some amazing stuff. Morrison and Quitely, I've talked about them too. You guys have some great teams that you're recommending here. Totally agree. And there it is again. Sale and Loeb. Yep. Byrne and Claremont. Yeah. That's true. They did create some great stuff together. Yeah, Clay, me too. It's great. Alan Davis was a great writer-artist. He was, and at some point, I gotta read this Captain Britain book that Joe sent me. That'll be fun. Jim Mahfood and Comic Tropes are a great team. I'm glad I got to meet Jim. He's just a swell guy. He's a good guy. Have you been keeping up with Berserk? I haven't gotten ahead. I'm but less than a month now until volume 41, I think it is, comes out, and can't wait to see that. Oh yeah, Jim, great point. Azzarello and Eduardo Risso. Got to see Eduardo Risso drawing at Comic-Con. That was interesting. Mobius and Jodorowsky. They certainly created a lot of stuff together and built a universe. That's some stuff I do want to talk about someday. Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill. Good call. Loved Star Wars Visions. Yeah. Star Wars Visions was fun. Al Ewing and Henry Flint knock it out of the park with Zombo in 2000 AD. Okay, I haven't read that. Snyder and Capullo. That's a little more recent. Yep, that's a good team these days. Bray Fogel and Alan Grant. They did some really good Batman, folks. They really did. Probably flew under the radar a little bit, but really good Batman stuff. Really good. Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. Yep. Brendan McCarthy and Milligan. I don't know that one. Oh man, look at this. But both pros hit me with this at the same time. Jim and Andy, Eastman and Laird. How amazing is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I mean, just the name alone, you can create so many versions. It's so versatile. Ninja Turtles is very versatile. Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba. Yep. Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. They did some great stuff. Yep. Miller and Hansen. I don't know who Hansen is off the top of my head, Joe. Miller and Sienkiewicz. Yeah. Elektra Assassin. Good call, Joe. Yeah, the Swamp Thing run with Moore and Totalben and Veitch. Strong. Claremont and Dave Cockrum were great on X-Men. Yep. Moore and Veitch. Another Moore and Veitch. Yep. Schuster and Siegel. Hey, we have to give them credit. They obviously work really well together. Miller and Mazzucchelli, yes. Oh, going over, yep. Gaseki Kokima and Kazuo Koike. Lone Wolf and Cub, right? Max Allen Collins and Terry Beatty. What did Terry Beatty do with him? I'm not sure off the top of my head. Look at all these people like coming up with teams. Like I didn't expect this, but I want to sort of like acknowledge it. Roy Thomas and John Buscema and Conan, sure. Mark Miller and Brian Hitch, absolutely. Yeah, Bissett. Bissett was also in the Swamp Thing group. Gary Groth and Kim Thompson. They've done a lot for journalism too. Yeah. Peter Milligan and Mike Allred. Love them. Simon and Kirby. Yeah. Or hey, let's talk about like one that I just did for my video lately. I was talking about Gene Colan, but the best Gene Colan is Gene Colan and Tom Palmer, an inker. Inkers don't get enough respect. Oh, sure. Juan Diaz Canales and Juanjo Guardino from Black Sad. Yep. Rene Goschini and Albert Uderzo. Yep. Asterix. Jose Munoz and Carlos Sampaio for Sinner. Look at you guys go. Bob Kane and Bill and Jim Steranko. Both are needed for the bitch slap. Yep. Oh, yeah. If you're going to talk about like inkers, your favorite was Royer on Kirby. That's an interesting debate that I think we could have. Like, who inked Kirby best? Royer was definitely slavishly loyal to Kirby's pencils, and I appreciate that. I also think Chick Stone did some great stuff on Kirby, now that I think of it. Yeah. Miller and Varley and Mazzucchelli and Lewis. Mm-hmm. Tim Gee says Doug Mensch and Kelly Jones. Okay. To each their own. Neil Adams and Tom Palmer. Yep. Ed McGuinness and Dexter Vines. Sure. Garfield and Odie. Wait, I think we've gone off the track. All right. So let's talk about some news. And while we do that, it's spooky season. I am going to start working on Chucky. I'm going to ink this Chucky. Because I thought that would be fun to do a horror character here. So I've already sort of penciled a lot of this out, and I'm going to just sort of focus on inking while we talk. First piece of news I would like to get into is to follow up on some news that I did last episode from the New York Comic Con, and that was just like how huge Peach Momoko's line was, and the craziness that ensued from there. We got some more details on that. Graham McMillan, writing for Popverse, interviewed Peach's husband and manager, Yo Mutsu, and he gave some explanation on exactly what happened. Also, Peach herself posted on Instagram about what happened. So let me start with that, with Peach's quote from Instagram. She said this: "I am happy I got to meet so many fans, but at the same time, I am sick to my stomach that I didn't handle the situation correctly. I sincerely apologize to everyone, especially on Sunday with it being Kids' Day. I wish I prepared better for at least them. I hear some people are making an assumption that I might not attend any more shows, but this is wrong. I may be mentally weak, but I love my fans and will be back to do more shows. I will be stronger and make sure to be more prepared next time." So to recap, if you didn't hear, like the lines for Peach at New York Comic Con were honestly kind of bonkers. They sincerely went, they just wound around the entire Artist Alley area. Just super backed up. You'd be stunned at how big it was, because you'd be like somewhere completely else and you'd be like, what's this line for? I even asked that. I remember at one point they were like, Peach Momoko. I was like, Peach Momoko? She's like way over there. Wow. What a genuinely sweet woman. She is. But there have been like fights, and some of that gets explained here with Yomutsu. He explains a little bit, gives us at least some context to what happened there. Before the show, this is his quote, okay? This is her husband and manager explaining what happened, and I think that this is interesting. I think you guys will like hearing about this. Before the show opened, I think around 9 a.m., I constantly told the exhibitors to not line up. Please go away, go to the far end of the hall, we don't want to see you, etc. I told these people repeatedly. So let me take a pause from his quote to explain. Obviously, exhibitors are there at the convention before they open the doors to us, the fans. And a lot of these dealers knew that, Peach is popular and in demand, and so they kept trying to line up at her table before there was an official line. Even though, like, they were getting asked, like, please go away, it's not time yet. It wasn't fair to the fans, because Peach was trying to do this primarily for her actual fans, her readers, not for people trying to make, an extra buck on it. Can I explain the Peach Momoko phenomenon and why she's so popular? It's not unheard of, first of all, for K-Bar to get talent that big. There's definitely other people that were at the show that were, pretty darn popular. Jim Lee had a huge line. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo always had a big line. As far as I can, explaining it, who can explain the way tastes go? There are always trends. But on top of her being popular, she tends to do a lot of variant covers. There's a lot of speculator market there. And on top of that, she's from Japan, so she doesn't come to many shows. This is like a rare example of her coming to a show. So it's a high demand product because of the variant covers, and it's a low supply because of her not being available to sign. So that's some of what is going on. Plus, people just like her work, and I don't blame them. She does beautiful work. It's unique, Let me go back to Yomutsu's comment. So he's got the people, like the dealers, constantly lining up to get stuff signed. At first, at 9 a.m., the exhibitors went away, but 5 minutes later, they all came back, and repeat and repeat. By the time it was 9:30 a.m., I tell them again, go away, please. They all just smile and tell me, oh, this isn't a line, and just kept staying in a big group in front of our table. And once the regular attending people started to queue up, they saw the big group in front of Peach, and things got hectic. Peach had her earphones on, zoning out at the time, but suddenly I heard some violent yelling, and that is when Peach heard it over her earphones as well. The security guards went over to calm the person down, and that is when I went over as well to talk to them and to tell them that they are no longer welcome to Peach's signing. Unfortunately, by that time, Peach got overwhelmed and scared and started to blame herself for creating this problem because of her presence. She couldn't breathe properly, so had to hide herself under the table. She was also shocked to see people would fight and argue over a signature. So the convention organizers saw all this happening, and they decided that for Peach's safety on Sunday, they were going to just shut the line down, and it ended early. Just to be clear, I also heard stories of what was going on, and I guess so the vendors were already lined up, right? The vendors would you were allowed to get 10 items signed. They'd get those 10 items signed. They'd get right back in line, get another 10 signed. They just kept doing that over and over. It kept the line huge. They can be sharks. Exactly. These vendors or get whatever, that kept staying there. First thing in the morning on Sunday, regular guests came in and they had VIP badges. What that means, they got to come in a little bit early and they could go straight to the front of the line to get signatures by people that were ready in Artist Alley. So they went by all of these vendors that had been waiting for maybe an hour, even though they're not supposed to be waiting. And one of those vendors got like really mad at some of the people that were like sort of, in his view, cutting him. They were allowed to. That was what they paid for. You didn't pay for like that privilege. And he started like fighting with one of them. So it got ugly. It got ugly. Very sad to hear this. I've never seen people in line fight before over signatures, so I'm sure that this is out of the ordinary, and it's too bad that it happened. And it's caused by, like, speculation and stuff like that. Speculation can be a fun part of the hobby, but we should always like remember that you can't let it get in the way of like people just enjoying themselves at a convention. Like, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, at least Peach has confirmed that she plans to come to more shows. And yeah, that's what happened. I don't know. Let's see. Joe Den says, okay, that's still not an overwhelming manga presence in Marvel. No, not overwhelming. Was in line for the McFarlane signing, and several people were refusing to wear masks. Yeah, technically, masks were required at the convention because there's like about 200,000 guests coming through over that weekend. It's a huge amount, by the way. They just couldn't keep up. No one was enforcing it. Peach's husband actually tried to get those vendors to stop lining up. He posted it online somewhere. Yeah. Great. Here's some insight, because I know Jim got to spend some time with Peach and Yo. I had lunch with Peach and Yo on Monday, and they are definitely going to develop a new strategy for handling cons moving forward. And it's too bad that they have to, but maybe there has to be a smaller limit to how many things you can get signed, or you can't get back in line after you get 10 things signed. Maybe it costs something now. There has to be something to work that line down. It's just too much. Yeah, everybody needed to mask. Clay, I'm quadruple vaxxed, and I was supposed to wear a mask because nobody knows that I'm quadruple vaxxed. I'm not carrying around my card. Anyway, turd's got a turd. I think people are abusing the vendor badges. I think you're right, Kenny. They should allow artists to have non-vendor lines if they want. Maybe. Yeah, it's yeah, it was interesting. I've never really seen anything quite like that. I've seen big lines before. I've never seen lines get so sort of violent and mean. So that wasn't fun to see people sort of so testy at the convention. You want people to be having a good time. Like, we all are there for love of the medium. You want it to go smoothly. But that's that one piece of news. Let's see. I've got more news. As always, I come prepared with several pieces of news. I can't believe I used to do these live streams without prepared news. Like, I would just sort of wing it and talk about whatever. If only a hero like Paste Pot Pete were there to help out and spray the vendors with glue. If only. What is wrong with people? Yep. Worst thing is some kids had their experience meeting someone they looked up to marred by adults acting like animals. That would probably have been very scary if you were a kid and you saw adults fighting. You were there. If you went to Disney World and all of a sudden two people in line broke out in a fist fight, you're just not expecting it in that kind of environment. Not that you're expecting it really in any kind of environment, but yeah, ugly. Let's move on to some other news. This is more fun news. Marvel is getting into the pro wrestling game, at least temporarily. Listen to this. I don't know how many people know about this promotion, but down in Mexico, there's a pretty big promotion called AAA Wrestling, okay? AAA, AAA wrestling. And they, of course, do Lucha Libre, high-flying masks, all that awesome stuff. They've been working with Marvel for a while, and it was now announced that, and just to be clear, this is for Mexico right now, not necessarily the US or anything. But on December 21st on Disney Plus, Disney is going to air a wrestling program. It's called Origin of the Mask, and it's going to star wrestlers in themed outfits based on superheroes. They're going to have El Aracno, El Leyenda Americana, El Terror Purpura, El Venenoide, La Estrella Cósmica, that must be Captain Marvel, and La Picadura Letal. Hey, even if it doesn't come here specifically, you get a VPN and you say, I'm in Mexico, and then your Disney Plus should show that. But I want to see pro wrestlers dressed up like superheroes fighting. I think that sounds awesome. Santo and Blue Demon. Jim Cornette going to have words about this. If they do it well, he's going to love it more than anybody. I remember as a kid at the old Boston Garden, I went there, waiting in line for wrestling and people getting into fist fights and tossing garbage cans down the hall. That sounds about right. The guy from the new Spider-Man 2, I don't know. It's just sort of different and weird, and I like it. I thought that sounded like a blast. What about you guys? Is that something you would watch? Would you normally watch pro wrestling? Would this be something that would get you to check out pro wrestling if you don't normally watch it, just to sort of see what they do with it? See Spider-Man and Captain Marvel and, I don't know, Punisher or whatever, like all fight. I think it sounds crazy and bonkers, and I like that. Definitely sounds cool. I'll watch because Disney Plus, yeah. Those Marvel matches are always fun on the AAA shows. Yeah, I guess they've done some of this before, but this is going to be aired on Disney Plus, December 21st. I've always loved pro wrestling. I try to catch the major AAA shows when I can, and must have a Marvel match on the card. Okay. They still doing that Sony movie for the Spider-Man luchador character? Yep. That reminds me of how Rey Mysterio Jr. used to dress up as DC and Marvel superheroes, albeit in bootleg fashion when he was in WCW. Sure. Yeah, when RoboCop showed up in wrestling, I definitely remember that. He helped free Sting from a cage at a pay-per-view, and they acted like it was actually RoboCop, not a guy in a suit. Like that RoboCop, from the future, by the way, came just to help Sting get out of a cage. Yeah, that's not... Sometimes wrestling is very, very weird. Oops, I missed that one. I hope Sony cancels the movies a la WB. Nobody asked. Well, we'll see. It's interesting. No comic companies did this earlier. They should definitely hire wrestlers to be comic characters on the regular. They almost don't need to, though, because so many like Lucha Libre characters are sort of superheroes already. They don't need to dress up as an existing hero. They create a new one. Santo. He's Santo. But it still sounds like a fun idea to me. And I thought that was a good palate cleanser. Yep, El Santo was an original wrestler who was in comics. Absolutely. Have I seen Dark Side of the Ring or Tales from the Territory shows? I've seen some of the Dark Side of the Ring. They seem pretty well put together. Let me move on. Can you please let me move on, folks? I mean, come on, what's the deal? No. I've got more comic book news to talk about, and that's why we're all here, right? It's not for me, it's to get the news recapped, or something like that. Bear with me, just having fun drawing some strands of hair. I love drawing hair. Okay. What happens next year in 2023? Anybody know? It's an anniversary. It's a comics anniversary. What would be an anniversary in 2023, specifically in January, if that helps? But I don't know how many people will get this, unless you've already seen this news. I don't know. I'm going to give folks in chat a moment to chime in with their guesses as to what anniversary or event could be happening in 2023. It's in your title. Oh, it is? Fantastic Four? Bane? Avengers? Glad I tuned in. Glad to see you're doing Chucky. Thank you. Avengers #1. Not quite, folks. Invincible. Somebody read the title. I didn't realize I put that in the title. That's hilarious. Yeah. Invincible actually came out January of 2013, which makes me feel so old because I remember helping proofread that comic. I remember being really good friends at the time with Robert and Corey and just being really excited by what they were pitching. I remember all the funny adventures of them pitching that book to Valentino and the things that appealed to him. I thought that they had a really exciting original cover, and for some reason Jim Valentino wanted them to just do one of Invincible against a brick wall, and they were like, really? He's like, oh yeah, that's what'll sell. You just need it to be simple and iconic. He put them against a brick wall, and they were like, okay, if that's what it takes to get the book made. Anyway, Invincible started coming out 13 years ago. I totally just got that math all wrong. Not 2013, 2003, because it's the 20th anniversary. So ignore some of what I've just said. 20 years. 2003, January of 2003, not 2013, 2003. It's I want things to be not as old. Yeah, 20, not 13 years. Just not paying attention because I'm drawing. So, Skybound has announced a bunch of things they're going to do to celebrate. We still don't know exactly when we're getting season 2 of the animated show, but that could actually come out before the end of this year, to be honest. We'll see. That I don't know. But that might come out next year for the 20th anniversary. Never knew the brick wall was Valentino's idea. Yeah, it was. I mean, look at every other cover or every other piece of art Corey Walker has ever done. It's rarely just a guy just sort of standing in front of a wall, you know? Yeah. When will you finally get your Emmy for your voice work as Invincible? Trust me, they got a much better guy doing Invincible than me. We all love him. Here's some of the things that Skybound announced to celebrate Invincible's anniversary. There's going to be an Invincible #1 facsimile edition. In other words, it'll look just like the original, down to the ads and stuff like that. The only difference is going to be in the publishing indicia. It'll indicate, of course, that it's a reprint, but otherwise, cover and interiors and everything are all going to look like they originally did. And so that's kind of cool. There's also going to be, it's called the Invincible Undeluxe #1. It's going to be a black and white version. As far as I'm concerned, yes, please. I think Corey Walker's artwork is gorgeous, and I love seeing it in its unaltered form. And don't get me wrong, his work has looked fantastic colored. I believe Bill Crabtree did those early issues, if I'm remembering right. But I also think that, like, seeing his artwork in black and white is going to just look fantastic. I might have an original page from Invincible somewhere. I'm not sure. I think I do. Are you still in the chat, Randy? Do you have any original pages by Corey? You might. The animated show might wait it out. It's less than 3 months until 2023. Exactly. So they might just wait. Will there be any Ryan Ottley? There will be some Ryan Ottley stuff. Let me continue to talk about that. Nice black and white Corey artwork. Corey Walker art sold. Yes, exactly. It's just so clean and crisp and dynamic. There's going to be an Invincible compendium. That'll be what? Yeah, I think it's issues 0 to 47, a hardcover. Huge. There's also going to be Invincible Universe compendium. So that'll be like the spin-off books like Adam Eve and Guardians of the Globe, things like that. Like all of that will be put together into a giant compendium, the Invincible Universe compendium. And Skybound also said that they're working on all sorts of new merch. So probably we'll get some, like, clothes. We'll get some action figures. We're definitely at some point getting a video game. They announced that they're working on a video game. So there's a lot of Invincible stuff coming. How many people out there have read Invincible? Because it's a really good superhero book that, like, does some unexpected stuff. It definitely subverts a lot of typical comic book tropes. So I like it. I like it quite a bit. Anyway, yeah. So they got quotes from all of the guys like Kirkman, Ryan Ottley, Corey Walker to, like, talk about, how excited they are for these new editions to come out. I think it'll be great. All right, let's see. Raising hands here. So we've got Jamilin has read it. Let's see. I didn't finish it. I got 30 or 40 issues. You should finish it, Ivan. It's good. That art style could be a really fun translation to a video game. No question. I have all 3 compendiums. Haven't read them yet. You should, man. All 144 issues. There you go, Andrew Jefferson. I read it as a kid. Absolutely loved it. Like the new icon for your channel. Where did you get the inspiration? Oh, yeah. Brit. There's so many good things of Brit. Because Brit had, 3 issues that Tony Moore... No, or maybe Tony did 2. And then, like, Cliff Rathburn did 1. But there's a few good Brit one-shots. And then there was the Brit 12-issue series written by my late friend Chemo, Bruce Brown, but he went by Chemo Temperance as his writer pseudonym. Artwork by Nate Belgard. It's a great 12-issue run. Really, really good. I might continue it. Got caught up in One Punch Man. Invincible could beat One Punch Man. I said it. I heard about Invincible for years, but never got around to it. My first was the animation. It's good animation. I hope Fire Breather gets the same treatment. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that was an interesting time when Image made, like, this push for some new superhero books all at once. And we got Invincible and Tech Jacket and Fire Breather, and I want to say Noble Causes. First time tuning in live. Thank you so much for being here. That's awesome. There you go. Invincible could beat One Punch Man, but only in an Invincible book. Well, yeah. I read volume 1 and 2, the compendium, but stopped at volume 3 after giving my older brother access to my Comixology account. I'm afraid that he lost the page where I left off. Well, just backtrack a little. It's still fun. Or backtrack from the very beginning. That could be fun too. It's good though. It really is. It's a good book. It has some really fun arcs. Sometimes I was a little disappointed in the character of Mark. I felt like he was a little dumb. He bailed on college. He was like, I don't need it. I've got a career. And it's like, I don't think that was a great message. There was also like a point where Mark's mother became an alcoholic, and they never really addressed her going to rehab or anything. She just sort of stopped being an alcoholic at a certain point. So there were a couple threads that like bothered me a little bit, like because they sort of got like overwhelmed by the big story arcs. The smaller moments got ignored a little, but it's a really fun book. Like, good superhero action, always looked incredible. Huge swing for the fences, big ideas, and lasting change. That's the thing. Like, there were no real reset buttons on Invincible. It kept changing. So that was cool. If it's good, it's worth reading more than once. Totally. They teamed up to make the Pact. Oh yeah, the Pact. That's right. There was a superhero team called the Pact with all of those guys. Megatron or Skeletor? Megatron. Megatron's way cooler. Skeletor is whiny. Megatron is powerful. The mom got a job and started dating again, didn't she? She did. And then she kind of went back to her husband. And that's sort of questionable too, I guess. I don't know. We didn't really get into the psychology of these decisions. It's still a good comic. It's cool. Let's see. I've got more news, folks. What did you think I ended? No. Let me give you some news that at first sounds like it's a little sad, but honestly, it's kind of heartwarming too. It's pretty cool. We learned over the summer that the manga creator who created Yugioh had died. His body washed up on shore. He had drowned alone. And that was sad. Well, this week, news came out. He may have drowned, but he died a hero. This is nice to know. I'm talking about Kazuki Takahashi. Okay, created Yu-Gi-Oh! Hugely successful, obviously. Turned into an actual card game, turned into an anime. Hugely popular. This news came out because there was an article in the U.S. military newspaper Stars and Stripes. They were interviewing a gentleman named, he was a U.S. Army Major, Robert Bourgeau. And Major Bourgeau was stationed in Japan over the summer. He's a dive instructor. And so he was at this sort of somewhat remote beach that day teaching when a woman started yelling that her 11-year-old kid was being sucked out to sea by the riptide. And so was a man who had gone, like, either was swimming with her or went to save her. But they got yanked something like 90 meters out to sea, like really fast. And there were huge waves, okay? Major Bourgeau swam out to save them. And one of his students also followed, was a strong swimmer, and went to save these people. There was also, like, a gentleman the woman had gone in to save her daughter, her 11-year-old, and she was starting to get swept out to sea. But they all got saved, okay? What nobody had reported on, but like a lot of Major Bourgeau's students saw, was Kazuki Takahashi was there as well. He also, with no hesitation, ran into the water to try to save these people. Unfortunately, he was hit by a bunch of the waves. The riptide sucked him under, and he never came back up. And his body was found something like 3 days later by the Japanese Coast Guard. None of that was ever reported. But it's kind of nice to at least know that while this man died, and that part's sad, we already knew that. It's amazing to learn that he did that trying to do something heroic. You know, he tried to save somebody. And that's a nice legacy if we already knew that he had passed away. It's pretty amazing to learn that he was that brave. I grew up on the ocean, and we didn't necessarily have the most dangerous beach, but you do grow up learning about what a riptide is. It can really suck you out into the deep ocean so fast, so fast. You can just be so far from shore, and it's really hard to fight against the ocean pulling you back. You have to be a really strong swimmer. The other people did get rescued, Clay. The only person that passed away, unfortunately, was Takahashi. But yeah, genuine hero. Imagine how humble he was. Yeah, he didn't have to do that. He was by himself. That's why, like, no one had really reported on this or anything. You know, he went to go snorkeling by himself. So he just happened to be on the beach when this was all happening, and he leapt into action. And, you know, you hope that you make decisions to be as brave, but would you? I don't know. It could be very scary, like huge waves. And you go like, well, am I going to actually be capable of saving these people if I put myself in this situation, or am I just going to have to be rescued myself? That's a legit thing that you should like consider in a situation like this. Like, not all of us are capable of jumping into the ocean and saving people. We might make the problem worse. But it was at least brave of him to try. And I think that that's pretty wonderful. It's sad. Yeah. The Coast Guard said they didn't want to report it for privacy reasons, but I don't know. Man died a hero trying to save others. Japanese, I think, are very private about certain things that we just aren't the same way about here. Even if, like, if you've watched the show Tokyo Vice, that's based on a real life American who was a reporter over in Japan. Some of it's fictionalized, of course, and stuff, but there is an element of something where he got in trouble for one of his first news stories, like reporting on something that was clearly a murder. Okay, he like reported like that the guy had been killed. Before it went to press, like the editor-in-chief saw it, and he exploded on him because the police had not declared it a murder. So you can't report that it's a murder, even if it seems like obvious to everyone involved. No, you stick to the facts. There's no editorializing, and there's a lot of privacy concerns over there. So I think that extends here too. Even though he died heroically, no one considers it their place to say, like, yeah, he died a hero, like, and he drowned. Like, that's not, like, all you can say is he drowned. That's a fact. You can't say, like, really why, unless there's somebody to corroborate it. It's not necessarily about the police face so much as, like, although to a degree, it's more their culture. Like, there's not many murders there, and they don't want to report on something being a murder until the police have confirmed it. So they really wait until a case is closed to call it like a murder. Is Tokyo Vice any good? It's pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good. I mean, who does it have as its stars? It's been months since I watched it, and I don't know. I got to look up the stars because Ken Watanabe is the police chief. He's fantastic, and the kid that was in Baby Driver, who was he? I'm just forgetting his name. But it came out the beginning of this year. Just trying to. Oh, Ansel Elgort. There's a name. Ansel Elgort. It's good. It's pretty good. And they filmed it there in Japan. So it has an air of authenticity to it that I don't think you would get from trying to film on like sound stages elsewhere. Yeah. I kind of wish our news wasn't sensationalized. I feel like it would make for a lot less polarization of political groups. You're not wrong, Caleb. The problem here is that we've got all of these 24/7 news outlets. They have to fill that time, and they have to like get ratings so that they can charge ad rates. So you, instead of like, there's obviously not enough news going on for 24 hours. There just isn't. It's not that exciting of a world. So they fill it with pundits. And that's what leads to the polarization, in my opinion. In my opinion. Baby Driver, yeah. Cool movie. A little awkward to watch because it has Kevin Spacey in it, so that's not great. But, yeah. Let's move on to more comic book news. We'll stay on topic because I'm only about halfway through the news, and I've got like 30 minutes, so I got to speed up. Here's a goofy one for you. This is so silly. General Mills is teaming up with Marvel. Okay, General Mills, you know, they make cereal. They're going to make a limited edition Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal that, for reasons, will have the cover of Spider-Man's first appearance printed on it. Yeah, so it's going to be a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but with Amazing Fantasy number 15 reproduced on the box. And they're going to make 1,962 of these. That's it. Because why? Because Spider-Man came out in 1962. So it's his 60th anniversary. And yeah, so they're going to have these available. Just under 2,000 boxes of cereal with Spider-Man on them. And they're going to cost $10. And you can only get them at Walmart. I don't know. Japan's police keep absolutely secret with investigation. They do keep that stuff very close to the vest. That's just the way it is. But you know what? It's a very safe place compared to a lot of other countries. So, you know, you have to just sort of take some good and some bad. I wish they were more open, but whatever. General Mills is trying to become Willy Wonka. Golden cereal box incoming. Yeah. Did I get my free comic from Burger King yet or wherever it was from? I started the show talking about that. Yes. It's from Jack in the Box. Talking about, whoops, just knocked a bunch of my comics off the table. The Return of Mark Hamill by Jack in the Box Comics. I think that they're free, but like essentially sold out of the hard copies. I think they did quite a while ago. You can still get a digital copy for free on their site if you want to. I can just hear J. Jonah Jameson now. Bring me boxes of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I want Spider-Man cereal. What food is Jack in the Box? Sort of a mix. I mean, it is a burger place like McDonald's, Burger King, but they also have their breakfast stuff available 24/7, you know, so like pancakes and sausage biscuits and things like that. Oh, sausage biscuits. They have mini tacos. That's something very popular there. And I have to admit that they are pretty darn good. They're mini tacos. They're really cheap, but they're good. Yeah, I do love their tacos. Yeah. And Tony Stank says, I never felt unsafe in any city in Japan at any hour or day or night. There are places you could probably get yourself into some trouble. You know, there is a, you know, crime. So there are certain bars you probably shouldn't go into. But honestly, there's a good chance if you tried to that they would say like no gaijin and not let you in. There's a good chance. But anyway. General Mills and Spider-Man. Roppongi. Roppongi is interesting because it's very high-end. There's some really... that is like the nightlife place. There's some really high-end bars. And if you speak some Japanese, you're going to have a great time. There's also going to be some of the Japanese mafia there, so you got to be careful. Japan is extremely safe no matter what time it is. You never felt unsafe to be outside. Well, yeah, people don't walk around with weapons or anything for the most part. Thank you, Andrew Jefferson, thank you for the super chat. Did you ever hear Mark Russell got his start in comics by doing Frankenberry and Count Chocula fan fiction? No, I've never heard that. Wow, okay. That's one way to break in. Okay, that route is now closed. Somebody's done it, so the rest of us now have to think of a new way to break into comics, because Frankenberry fan fiction has been used. That's taken off the table now. Oh well. I missed the last train in Tokyo and walked to my hotel about 4 stops and never felt unsafe. Yeah. Looks like everybody has a similar experience. In Kansai, it was American Town and Denden Town. Saw a guy publicly urinate. That's a little unique. Yeah. Well, yeah. I love Japan. Walk the streets of Tokyo late at night. Never any fear. I've walked by myself too. Like, Chrissy was like tired one night, and I was like, I'm just gonna walk around Japan. I'm just gonna walk around Tokyo at night, and I've done that more than once. It's really fun. And yeah, you don't feel unsafe. It's just you might encounter a situation if you don't speak the language that can be tricky. Like, for instance, I came across a guy totally passed out on the street, and he was like literally lying in some of the street. And of course, there's like cars coming by and stuff. And I couldn't get him to wake up or anything like that. And I'm not going to just leave somebody there. But I didn't really speak much Japanese, so that was definitely tricky. Fortunately, even though everybody seemed to be ignoring that, eventually some really kind locals came by and were like, they spoke English, and they were like, we'll take over, like, that's nice of you. Most people won't do this, but we'll help this guy. Like, you can go. And I was like, all right, that's really kind of you. And they were like, no, it was kind of you. Like that's the right thing to do. It was a little sketchy. Which parts, Chrissy? Well, yeah, actually, the one time we stared at the Airbnb in Shibuya, right? Because like we were sort of staying in like the red light district. We walked through a little bit of a sketchy area. It was like there were hookers, but I didn't see like drugs or violence or anything. So yeah. This Chucky is insane. Are you watching the show yet? I watched all of season 1. It was so good. It was so good. And I need to watch season 2. I think they've already had 2 episodes so far. I need to catch up. I learned from anime that to say wake up is okite. I think everywhere feels safe until it isn't. Good point, Jeannie. That is a good point in general. You should still be safe, especially when you're somewhere you don't know. So I'm not trying to overly promote how safe Japan is, but statistically, it's definitely one of the safest cities in the world, statistically. But you could still get yourself hustled or something like that, pickpocketed, if you're really dumb. I still need to watch the show in general. It's quite good. It's by the people that have made all the movies, same writer. So it's very... The show does not like hit you with all of the lore from like the 7 movies or something all at once, but it does slowly roll in elements from all of the different movies. It's really cool. Yeah, there's one that you could like get suckered by. There's always fake monks asking for donations. They're not real. You've seen it, Tari? I hope it stays as good as season 1, because I thought season 1 was pretty darn strong. And it's a little funny to say that. You're like, Chucky is good. You're like, really? But you know what? The Chucky movies in general are honestly pretty good, and some of them way better than others, but overall not too bad. And the TV show is really, really fun. The TV show is sort of like the best version of everything. I'm drawing right now, and I'm learning the forearm really good. Good for you. Good for you. Oh, yeah, same creators worked on the Hannibal show. Hannibal was a fantastic TV show. You'd never believe that that was like a network TV show. It was so good. Brad Dourif is great. Yeah. Moving on. Wednesday, November 23rd. November 23rd is a Wednesday, and it's called Local Comic Shop Day. I have to admit, I didn't really know about this one. But I guess the idea behind it is publishers make special versions of some of their comics, kind of along the lines of like variants and stuff, like really sort of deluxe editions, so that stores can like have something special that day to sell to the really engaged fans. And they've announced at least a bunch of the books that will be coming out that are supposed to be sort of special editions. There's a book called Chroma #1 through Image. That's going to be by writer-artist Lorenzo De Felici of Oblivion Song. Walking Dead Deluxe issue 50. The I Hate This Place trade paperback. I recommend that. Boom Studios is releasing something called Behold Behemoth #1. It's some sort of weird post-apocalyptic tale by Tate Bromball. He did House of Slaughter. Let's see. You ever yell out, "Give me the power, I beg of you"? What is the voodoo stuff that Chucky says? He says some sort of weird voodoo words, and then he goes, "Give me the power, I beg of you." Weird mythology that they really lean strongly into on the Chucky show, which is a good thing. Give me the power, I beg of you. Other books coming out that are special. Dark Horse is releasing Quick Stops. That's like an anthology of stuff from the View Askew-niverse. I haven't seen Clerks 3. Anybody know if it's any good or if it's like not so good, Al? I don't know. Yep, Jock announced a new Witches story, Shambhala. Shambhala, give me the power, I beg of you. I miss Ash versus Evil Dead. Me too. That was probably like the best horror TV show. Yeah, it was fantastic. But you know what? It got a pretty clean ending, all things considered. I was pretty happy with it. Sorry, I'm just filling in some black here. Other things for November 23rd, local comic book day, local comic shop day. Local comic shop day. Spider-Man #2 by Slott and Bagley. Amazing Spider-Man 13. That's going to introduce the Gold Goblin. Vault is releasing a book called Door to Door, Night to Night about a group of people fighting supernatural evil down in South America. Tori Amos is releasing Little Earthquakes. That's going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of her album of the same name. That comes from Z2. They've been publishing more stuff. And Z2 is also releasing, what do you call it? Illustrated by Al, which is going to just be illustrated comic book versions of a bunch of Weird Al songs. So, some unique books out there. Clerks 3 was fine if you liked the first two. No, I only like the first one. Spider-Man is only up to his second issue. Yeah, it's been a 60-year wait to get the second issue of Spider-Man. Takes a little while. Yes, Samuel points out this Wednesday is the final issue of Deadly Class. I live in Red Bank, New Jersey, so I'll always have a spot for Kevin. Okay. More news. Let's talk about movie news. Let's talk about, I'm going to talk about all of the Marvel and DC movie news. There was a bunch this week, so let's get into it. What do I start with? I'll start with Blade, because we talked about that recently, that like the Blade movie lost the director and that like people were saying that the script had issues. The movie was supposed to go before cameras this coming month. Hold on, let me shut this bot down. And what can I say? They've decided to pause it, and that's probably the right decision, because you want to make sure it's good. Supposedly, according to Slash Film, star Mahershala Ali is still like 100% on board. He just wants to really make sure that if he does this, that it's a good movie. So he's like, let's just wait and get it right. And Marvel was like, yep, we should just wait. Forget the schedule. We're going to delay it. We're going to get it right. And I hope they do. Blade is a cool character. And so now it's not going to come out until September 6th, 2024. Okay. About a year's delay. What else? It was confirmed today that Harrison Ford is joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Harrison Ford. And if we could jump back 30 years, that would probably be a little more impressive than it is today, but I still love Harrison Ford. I'll always love him for Indiana Jones, and he's made so many other great movies. The Fugitive, his Star Wars stuff. There's just so many good movies that Harrison Ford's made. Witness. I don't know. So many good movies. But he's joining the Marvel Universe as General Thunderbolt Ross. Yeah, William Hurt passed away, but apparently that character is needed for the upcoming 4th Captain America movie, Captain America New World Order. The enemy of that is the Leader. So if you've got the Leader and Thunderbolt Ross, sounds like we're going to have a bunch of Hulk stuff going on in Captain America 4. So we'll see. Harrison Ford is up there in age, but he doesn't necessarily look his age, I would say. We'll see how he handles Indiana Jones 5, but, Thunderbolt Ross isn't like running into action or anything like that. I love Harrison Ford, anxious about him at 80 years old, playing a potentially recurring character. Yeah, obviously there would not be an 80-year-old general on active duty, but Harrison Ford doesn't necessarily look 80. He just doesn't. So I could see it working. They probably gave him like a ton of money. We'll see. Don't let him fly his plane to the set. Exactly. I mean, he's so accident prone in the last like 20 years. What's going to happen on this one? Didn't he like break his leg on the first Star Wars sequel movie? What was it called? I don't even remember anymore. The Force Awakens. I think he broke his leg on that, but he crashed his plane like 3 times. Doesn't Ross become Red Hulk? He absolutely does in the comics eventually. They should have cast the general from the insurance ads. Yes, they should have. Wasn't he a Secretary of Defense? No more general. Yeah, he might be. That's right. I forget the MCU mythology. He's the Secretary of Defense. Look, folks, there's an excellent chance that they did not cast Harrison Ford for just Captain America. He'll probably be in there as Thunderbolt Ross. Like, I'm just being real here. And I'm sure he'll get some sort of gamma stuff by the very end of the movie so that by the time Thunderbolts comes out, maybe we get Red Hulk. We'll see. Red Hulk live action should be Clancy Brown. Yeah, but Clancy Brown's already played like 2 MCU characters. A third might be pushing it. If he isn't in the Thunderbolts, then why bother? Personally, I'd rather have the Thunderbolts be the original Masters of Evil in disguise as compared to like, sort of anti-hero guys, but whatever. There's also a rumor out there that I don't know that I can quite believe, but supposedly they've cast Mephisto for the Ironheart TV show, and it would be played by Sacha Baron Cohen. Now, honestly, I'm fine with that if that is the cast. Like Sacha Baron Cohen he's a good actor and he's funny, so I could see him playing a really interesting version of Mephisto. Why would Mephisto be on Ironheart? Well, the villain of that show is the Hood, who gets his powers, I think, from Dormammu in the comics, if I'm remembering right. They probably just want to simplify that and slot in somebody new. So, yeah. Totally agree with this comment that Sacha Baron Cohen should have been Freddie Mercury. Yeah, he should have done it. He should have. So we'll see. We'll see. Is he going to come in and be like, my Ironheart? Probably not. I don't know if I believe that one, though. Switching over to DC movie news now. The Rock says that he's been fighting to get Henry Cavill back as Superman for like the last 6 years as he's been developing Black Adam. He says that the old leadership at Warner Brothers, for some inexplicable reason, just didn't really want to use Henry Cavill's Superman anymore. And that he was just like, no, like we got to do a Black Adam versus Superman movie. And he says that now the leadership there is open to it. And so that like Henry Cavill may be coming back as Superman. I think he was a good Superman in a set of not great scripts. I'd be all for seeing Henry Cavill return as Superman if that's the case. I don't love that The Rock wants to put him in another Black Adam movie, though, because I don't know if you know, but The Rock has it in his contract that he's got like a rider that says he can't lose a fight when he's in a movie. He can tie, but he can't lose. And I don't love the idea of Superman having to be able to not beat Black Adam. That sounds a little weak to me. I don't love that. But yeah, The Rock literally has that in his contract that he can tie, but he can't lose in a fight. Okay. If you say so, Rocky. But yeah, we might be getting Superman back. We'll see. Aren't Shazam and Supes more direct antagonists in the comics? Shazam and or Captain Marvel, but yeah, Shazam and Black Adam are. But Shazam and Superman get along well. Let's see. More often than not, Black Adam doesn't lose in the comics. That's how he even got Kondak. Okay. Bot that I'm blocking. I thought they confirmed Sasha is playing Mephisto via Twitter. Who's they? I didn't see it confirmed. No, I haven't seen Stargirl. I don't have regular cable. I only have a few streaming services. I want Cavill to get his chance to do what he has in his mind. Cavill's a really talented actor and seemingly a really smart and kind guy. So, yeah. I trust Cavill because he's an actual comics fan. I think that that's a great point. He is. He's a nerd that, like in his downtime, likes to play with computers and paint small miniatures for tabletop role-playing games. Like that. He is the kind of guy that you sort of want playing Superman because he respects it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway. We'll see what happens with that. Somebody just mentioned Stargirl. Apparently, Stargirl was originally supposed to be part of the Justice Society of America in this Black Adam movie because the Justice Society is in there. But Warner Brothers leadership didn't want to use her in the movie since she's got a CW TV show. It's weird where they put their foot down on like there can be 2 versions of like Batman or 3 versions of the Joker, but No, not two versions of Stargirl. Anyway, so they put their foot down on that, and that's why this movie decided to add Cyclone instead, who's a relatively obscure character, if we're being honest. Like Cyclone, not nearly as well known, but that's why they're using Cyclone. Let's see. Superman versus Black Adam could go either way, considering Black Adam is fueled by what Superman is weak to, magic. Yes, but Superman should still be stronger. Exactly. What else? Today, Ezra Miller, the Flash, pled not guilty to the charge of burglary. Allegedly, he broke into his neighbor's house and stole some alcohol up in Vermont. But he pled not guilty, that he didn't do it. If he did, like the breaking and entering or burglary part is a felony. The amount that he stole is just a misdemeanor. But it does have a maximum penalty of 26 years. Meanwhile, what's he doing right now? He's out on $500 bail. So realistically, if bail was set that low, he's probably not too worried about this case. But he's filming more scenes right now for The Flash. They're still doing reshoots for The Flash. So Warner Brothers is still gung-ho about moving forward. And who knows, maybe they are getting help right now, Ezra Miller. I don't know. You have to go not guilty at first. I don't know, maybe. Drank all the alcohol, no evidence. That's Moriarty level thinking. There you go. They drank all the alcohol. What is wrong with Ezra Miller? Why are they doing that to themselves? They might have some real mental issues. And if that's the case, I just hope that they get some help. But if I was Warner Brothers, I wouldn't feel comfortable hanging my franchise on that actor right now. I don't think it's a great idea, but I guess they feel like they've spent so much money, they don't want to backtrack at this point. We shall see. What other news do I have there? I think that's all the movie news for Marvel and DC. But as long as I'm talking about sort of movie news, I'll just mention there's a Red Sonja movie currently filming, and that's being filmed in Bulgaria. Although they will film some of it in Greece as well. But yeah, it's being filmed in Bulgaria. We all know Bulgaria. I could find it on a map, but I bet most people... Wait, that sounds like I'm bragging. I was just saying, most people do not know where Bulgaria is. That's a weird one. But anyway, and it stars Matilda Lutz. Anyway, today they announced actress Rona Mitra is also joining the movie. I liked her in this one post-apocalyptic movie called Doomsday by Neil what? He did a bunch of Game of Thrones. He did Dog Soldiers. He did The Descent. Right now, I'm forgetting his full name. Somebody out there will remember for me. You guys are awesome at that stuff. But anyway, Neil Marshall. Thanks, Legion of Comics. Yeah. On the same body of water as Russia's war. Yeah, Bulgaria is awfully close to the Ukraine. That's a little strange. Balkan state, I think on the southern end of the Balkans. I know cities over there have been appealing for filming for a while, like Prague. Yeah. Thank you, Michael DeFonte. It is Neil Marshall that I'm thinking of. Yeah, I thought Doomsday was okay. I thought it was decent. Rona Mitra starred in that. We'll see. Yeah. As long as I'm talking about Red Sonja, by the way, there is a new Red Sonja book coming out soon at Dynamite, and it's going to be called The Unbreakable Red Sonja, and it's going to be written by Jim Zub, who's writing, Conan and Dungeons and Dragons, and also, Rick and Morty. So I think he's a good fit for that. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, Red Sonja. The reddest of the Sonjas. He wrote some Samurai Jack comics too. Okay. Hellraiser was solid. Yeah, solid is probably right. I saw the new sort of reboot of that, and it was okay. It was okay. Zub is a big sword and sorcery fan. He's got his niche carved out. He's a good writer. He really is. He's a nice guy too. Always love talking to him. Let's see. Is there any more news? We're basically at like the time where I usually start wrapping up the show. I guess there's one last piece of news. It's more of a tidbit, I would say. So I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this one or not. But Whatnot. I don't know how many of you out there are up to date with what Whatnot is. It's this like site/app that's doing something kind of like, geez, how do I even describe it? It's got two aspects to it. They've got a place where you can buy and sell collectibles, and then it also brokers deals to do like, what do you call them? Variant covers. So, and anyway, this week, they announced that Whatnot is now the publisher of Heavy Metal magazine, which is not about heavy metal. It's a comic book. A lot of usually European comics are brought over to here and published through heavy metal. At least that's how I discovered a lot of people like Mobius and stuff, as reading old heavy metal magazines when I was growing up. And yeah, so Whatnot is going to publish Heavy Metal magazine. So cool. Bill Murray is all over the news. Might affect his role in the upcoming Ant-Man movie. Well, he's already filmed its stuff. You despise Whatnot? I don't understand Whatnot very well. eBay meets Twitch. They had a pavilion at New York Comic Con, and I couldn't quite figure out like what they were necessarily promoting or selling. They just they had Crane Game Machine. I don't know. Interesting. I'm seeing Whatnot broker deals with all sorts of artists and publishers to put out, these variants. Like they've done stuff with IDW and Boom Studios. They're like publishing these exclusive variant covers, but I don't quite understand why they are as compared to like the publisher themselves doing it. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for the gifted. Big fan of yours. Hope to meet you at a convention one day. That would be lovely. To say thanks for the good work you do, although I would probably pass out. Oh, okay. I'll be ready to catch you. Catch me now, I'm falling in love. My voice is just shot, people. Like, you have no idea how dried my throat and vocal cords feel. It's just awful. It's just live auctions. Some crappy sellers, but can find good deals at times. I don't know if it's true, but I heard a bunch of the vendors in Peach Momoko's line were people trying to sell stuff on Whatnot, but that could just be a rumor. Don't take that as like fact or gospel or anything. That's just something I heard someone say. To be fair, I heard a lot of nuts stuff about all sorts of things at the New York Comic Con. I heard some like rumors of books that are coming out that I can't talk about because I said I wouldn't. I also heard like things that I'd never heard before about various like artists and creators and stuff like that. Okay, hold on. Jim is explaining this. Whatnot started as an app And now they're publishing their own line of books. I'm doing variant covers for all of their titles. Alpha Beta's #1 comes out this week. Shameless plug. This is your job, Jim. I don't think that's a problem at all. Okay. I like variant covers sometimes, and I like a marketplace where I can buy and sell stuff, so I sort of get it, but I don't quite understand it yet. I don't quite understand it. The Peach line will be out of Fables for years to come. It might just be. It might just be. Oh, here we go with the super chat. Favorite 80s slasher villain. Favorite. Oh, these days, because I think it changes, just to be clear. These, like, my original favorite was Michael Myers. That was sort of the slasher franchise that I first got into. But there's not that many good Halloween movies, if I'm being honest, you know? First one is great. First one it holds up. I like it a lot. Second one, it's okay. Third is just sort of a weird thing on its own. It's not part of the mythology. That's okay. It's kind of enjoyable for how crazy it is. I kind of like the fourth one. I would say that the fourth one might be my second favorite of the movies, or third favorite. Fifth is bad. Sixth is really bad. H2O is fine. It's kind of interesting. Resurrection is terrible. I hated the Rob Zombie reboots. Halloween 2018, pretty darn good. That might be my second favorite. But then Halloween Kills, pretty bad. And I just saw Halloween Ends, and woof. I won't give away what happens in it, folks. But let's just say that the main character is not Laurie Strode or Michael Myers anymore. It's a totally new person, and he gets bullied a lot by band camp members. Like the bullies are all in a band camp. What? And that's the main character. So at one point it was Halloween, but now I would say my favorite slasher is probably Jason Voorhees. Yeah, if I'm being honest, I like the Friday the 13th movies, because you know what the difference is the first Halloween movie is legit good cinema, and the rest of them can get schlocky, but they're sort of like trying to aspire to that level, and it makes it more painful when they don't hit that level. But the Jason movies are kind of all schlock, and they're all pretty entertaining. You know, I love Jason Voorhees. He's interesting. He's simpler. He's dumber, but I like it. So he's probably my favorite. Here's another one. Let's see. Did you teach yourself, or did you go to art school? I didn't go to art school. No, I've here and there, like as I've grown up, I've taken like, a life drawing class or two. Not many. It's pretty much self-taught. And I'm slow. That's the biggest problem with me as an artist, is I'm very slow. I couldn't be a comic book professional, really. I might do like, an occasional short story, or a what do you call it? Like a cover maybe, but I'd never be fast enough to be a professional, unfortunately. But I love drawing. I'm just trying to like learn some inking skills while I talk to all of you. It's a good time. Good Nacht. Good Nacht. I guess that's good night. Halloween was always a mess. The first two are good. The rest is a mess. I'd say 4 and 2018 are pretty darn good. Especially 2018. What about Freddy? I like the Freddy movies. I think that they also only have a few really good ones, like 1 and 3. 1 and 3 are good. The rest, eh. And the problem, again, with that is that the first one is like really good cinema. So, when you've got like a first movie that's really good, and then it just kind of nosedives after that, it hurts more than like, something like Friday the 13th that kind of knows what it is from the beginning. New Nightmare was a bit ahead of its time. New Nightmare's pretty good. Yeah, New Nightmare's pretty good. I've seen them all more than once. Yeah, I love New Nightmare. I love the meta content. Yeah, I totally respect that. I do. All of this would be blacked out too, but I don't have a really big black marker right now, so probably gonna like wrap it up in a little bit. Halloween 2018 was good, but to set up this stuff just for it to go nowhere, that's the weird thing is they might have had an idea of what they wanted to do for Halloween Kills after 2018, but there is no way, you'll never convince me that they had Halloween Ends in mind from the beginning, because it just undoes all sorts of character growth and development and goes in a completely bizarre direction. It's not good. Yeah, the Thorn trilogy. Do me a favor and watch Sharks of the Corn. Sharks of the Corn? I've never heard of that. Have you seen The Prowler? No. Good slasher with Savini effects. I'd watch that. Sleepaway Camp? I've seen all of those. That is some rough stuff, though. It's like, it's really cheap. The first one really just gets by its big twist at the end, but it doesn't make a lot of sense. Interesting. Phantasm is my jam, says Jim. That's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. Me too. Ghost Shark. Ghost Shark? I haven't seen that one. Matt Draper just did a video about the Thorn trilogy. Matt does some great videos. And hey, if he wants to start focusing more on horror movies, I am all in, because A, I love his videos and I love horror, so I love those videos. And B, less comic book competition for me, because he made excellent videos. And so if he wants to go in that direction, that's awesome. I'll let you know. I literally talked to him today and said, Matt, sometime when you've got free time, I'd love to have you as a guest on this live show, because you know your comic stuff, and I think we'd have fun joking about the comic book news together. I think that would be fun. Your Gene Colan video was great. Always great work. Thank you. Not getting a ton of views, but I guess I didn't necessarily expect it for somebody that was sort of like, at his height in the 60s and 70s. But it interested me. I think Gene did some great stuff. I think that like his horror was especially good. Yeah. Let's see. Have you heard about the new Terrifier 2 that just came out? People passing out in theaters and walking out. Oh, they say that about any horror movie. It's not that scary. The old guy from Phantasm is genuinely scary. Okay. Anyone interested in... I saw Smile, and you know what? Smile wasn't too bad. Smile was actually pretty good. Better than the trailer led me to expect. Not the best horror of the year or anything. Boy, what would the best horror of this year be? Probably Pearl or Barbaric. Probably. But Smile was decent. Yeah, I didn't expect it. I want more Ninja Turtles versus Tall Man. Exactly. Yeah, if you don't know what he's talking about, I got these Russian Ninja Turtles bootleg well, not really comics, more like picture books recently. And I can't read them, so I need to like make a friend that reads Russian that could like read this to me. But in this book, the Ninja Turtles go up against the Tall Man from Phantasm. Let me see if I can find a good picture to show you them. Yeah, this is, or as the translation seems to call him, the Long Old Man. There's Michelangelo looking pretty darn nervous about this. Yeah. Barbarian. Did I say Barbaric? Barbarian is actually really cool. Barbarian was a good horror movie. I liked it. Do you like William Castle type horror movies like The Tingler? I like all types of movies and all types of horror movies. So yes, I definitely like those. Look, there's like the little like munchkin minions of the Tall Man trying to carry away Leonardo in his car. Have I tried using Google Lens to translate the pages? No, That would be a lot, though, because these are like full pages. There's the old man threatening someone and Leonardo hiding in a coffin. There's some guy that was attacking Leonardo, but getting like one of the orbs driven into his skull. That's a little more violent than you'd typically see in a Ninja Turtles thing. Larry says, speaking of horror, have you seen Life? It's more sci-fi, but it terrified me. It's also the only film where it's 0G the entire movie. No, I don't know that one, so I'll have to look that up. Thanks for the heads up. Are there any more really funny pictures in this? So I got 4 of these books, like from Russia, that are all just like, they did not have the license or anything. They just sort of made their own Ninja Turtles books. And the Ninja Turtles will like go up against Batman and RoboCop, and in this one, the Tall Man from the Phantasm movies. So they just sort of did whatever interested them in that moment. It doesn't not make sense. There's a pretty boring picture, huh? The artist here was like, hey, how about you have April talk to Raphael and you just show us both of their backs? That is a really boring shot. That is a really boring shot. I'm so freaking jealous right now. Somebody get their Duolingo working in our favor. Yeah, these are some crazy, crazy books. If I could ever find somebody that would be willing to, sit down and translate them for me, like this would make for a pretty fun episode. There's April O'Neil investigating and finding some of those killer orbs from the Phantasm movies, fighting a thug, fighting another girl. They're I guess just bonding with Raphael, just bonding. I can't tell the story from just these pictures. It's not enough. Oh, here we go. Making acid together. That's fun. Let's make some acid to take care of the tall man. Okay. Oh, there's that thug that was bothering April earlier, getting bloodily mutilated. Oh, yeah, there's the one I was looking for. Donatello looks very comfortable with the fact that there is a severed hand pinned to the wall with Raphael just going, hey, hi. They're like fan fictions, but with production value. I would argue, Caveman, that they are like fan fictions, but no real production value. Tim Vigil does TMNT, yeah. And so just to be clear, I got several of them, so I haven't really looked at these too much. But what's this one? There's some. Oh, this is better art. That's much better art. Okay, they're looking at a map. They're going in their blimp to an island, and they get to the island, and there's like skeletons. What else? More dead people. Way more violent than a typical Ninja Turtles comic. What's going to happen? Okay, they're investigating. They're fighting giant spiders, or that could happen. They're swimming. Okay, Ninja Turtles should do more swimming. They're coming across giant Buddha statues. Let's just jump way ahead. There's more giant Buddha statues. Must be a pretty slow book. Just hanging out, holding the diamond, just hanging out. Walking across a log. This one does not seem very exciting. Swimming together. Yeah, we'll call that one a dud. By the way, each of these covers, if you notice, has the same Ninja Turtles, but is drawn by different artists. So, like, some of the lines are thicker and look better than others. Let's see what this one they go up against. Okay, spaceship. That's a little more exciting. What are they? All right, just hanging out in a pickup truck. Ninja Turtles hanging out in a pickup truck going to town. No, I haven't, DJ, and that's because like I haven't used the translator because there's like over 200 pages of this stuff. That's so much. Oh, look at that. They're fighting some sort of like samurai warrior. What's that got to do with spaceships? And they're dancing at a car dealership. They're dancing at a Mitsubishi Mercedes car dealership. Donatello chucking deuces from the murder scene. Yeah. Ninja Turtles in space. I'm glad there is an owl. Okay. Let's find another picture. Oh, just Michelangelo just looking at the graffiti. Okay, that's not too exciting. This guy went cross-eyed. I don't know. Maybe the Ninja Turtles kicked him in the nuts. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, it's the Predator. They're having lunch with the Predator. See the dreadlocks and stuff? And he's eating like some sort of giant pancake there. And April's interviewing Donatello while Raphael is telling the Predator, yo, dude, that pancake is from me. Okay, so we got the Predator in there. That's good. Oh, now they're fighting the Predator. See, he's got his like shoulder cannon and his mask. And there's a very off-model April O'Neil showing that, I don't know, a Mars candy bar factory has been broken into. Things definitely went bad after that lunch. It must have been a bad lunch. There's the Predator just wistfully looking at the city. So yeah, this one, they go up against the Predator. That's kind of cool. Look at that. Yep, his lasers and stuff like that. Oh, the Ninja Turtles put him in a net. Can't get out of a net. Wow. How did things get from that, like after they were just having fun eating pancakes together? And how does that samurai fit into everything? Was he hunting the samurai? I got to find that one picture again, because that one was the best picture I've seen so far today. Yeah, this. And the Ninja Turtles halfway through are having lunch with the Predator at a cafe. And then somehow by the end, they're fighting. I don't know. Here's the last one. It's got an owl. We'll just see what they go up against here. Okay, they're fighting. They're training. Can I see who the enemy is? Oh, it's like straight out of Scooby-Doo. Just a guy with a sack over his head. I'll just skip to the middle. There's the guy with the sack over his head again. So maybe that's Jason Voorhees. I don't know. Yeah, he's coming after a girl in a cabin. He's gonna stab her. This does seem to, and like Donatello's going like, should I stop this? Should I? I think that this is supposed to be Jason Voorhees, like in the Nintendo games, because he's purple with the blue gloves, and look, he's got a sack over his head, and he's holding like a pitchfork. I think that this is Jason Voorhees. I'm just gonna keep going forward towards the end to see if they're just still fighting him. I thought that one of these had Batman in it, but I don't know. Okay, sure. Now he's fighting a knight, a blue-faced knight. That makes sense. Going up against Hitler? I don't know. Was that it? Nope. Having a surf fight with Jason Voorhees. Excuse me. All right. You know what? I'm feeling like a lot of pain and congestion. I got to take some medicine. Here, I'll show you this artwork up a little closer. And yeah, I think that'll do it. This was fun, folks. Thanks for letting me riff on some really strange comics and news. We'll be back next week with more. Hopefully by then I'm feeling really healthy. Yeah, I started talking about that at the top of the show. Roguish. Looks good. Nice. Where's the telekinetic girl who fights Jason? Hope you feel better. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Jason Voorhees. I like that. I hope you feel better soon. I will. Thanks, everybody. This was fun. Oh, wow. I didn't realize how late I'd gone. That's plenty long enough. Got my little art here. and I'm going to go have a dinner because I got work tomorrow, and I'm already working on the next comic tropes, and I'll have an episode for my Patreon subscribers tonight. Video from the New York Comic Convention with my commentary on everything that was going on. So I uploaded one to this channel that like just mainly has music, but now I'm uploading another one for my Patreon subscribers that will have commentary about the convention. All right. Thanks, everyone. Let's see. I thought we were friends till the end. This is the end, friend. Take care. Double salute. Keep reading comics.